application for both the solid waste and recycling programs as well as the stormwater management. So today we're going to be talking about composting. So thank you all for coming today and joining. I'm really excited to teach you all a little bit more. So this is kind of just an agenda or a table of contents of what we're going to be going over today. I'll kind of just read it through and then we'll get into it. First thing, we're just going to be discussing food waste, then why compost, what is compost, compost recipe, because we're cooking, what goes in the compost bin, what does not go in the compost bin, about the compost bin, how to maintain your compost bin, harvesting and the using of compost, composting tips and troubleshooting, and then other different compost methods that I'll kind of just briefly skim over. And then reducing food waste, which is a huge component of composting. So I just want to go over a few metrics. These are kind of really important to kind of look at when you're thinking about composting and just in general. So the first figure that I want to go over is 40% of the nation's food supply is never consumed, whether that be food wasted or just never sold at the grocery store. So that's pretty wild. I think this was data gathered in 2023. So it's a few years dated, but that's not that long ago, and it's pretty steady, going to be the same metric for 2024. Another thing is a family of four spends an average of $1,500 to $1,800 a year on food that goes to waste. So that's just money straight going into the trash. That's just not even, that's just what you buy and just don't consume, which is a good amount of money. And honestly, that's a huge difference for a lot of families in cost just spent. And then 1 in 9 South Carolinians are food insecure. So 10 out of 9 people, 1 person is food insecure, which is a really staggering number. Food insecurity, we're humans, we need food to survive. So especially in South Carolina, that matters. So that's why it's important to respect our food and try and not waste it, or do better methods of food waste by composting. And then food is the number one item that Americans throw away. So that's the number one thing that is so easily tossed to the trash and not really paid much respect to. So the fact that it's something that's necessary to human life, you would think that it would be the least thing that we would throw away because it is super essential. So just kind of wanted to start off with the basis and foundation of one important part of composting, which is reducing food waste. So why compost? Obviously, I kind of gave a few examples of that already, but it also improves soil. So it creates and generates rich soil with nutrients that then helps grow even more nutrient-dense vegetables, plants, etc. It also helps reduce the use of fertilizer and then also of water, because when you have really rich soil, it holds water better and it's able to, it doesn't need to be watered as much. And then it also reduces the need for fertilizer. Fertilizer can be very expensive, especially if you're a farm or if you have a community garden and you generate a large amounts of, if you harvest a lot of vegetables and plants and everything. So it reduces the use of that because compost is so nutrient dense. It's also a closed loop system. So composting helps make food. It recycles food naturally, and then it not only does it produce food, but you can also, the food scraps that are made with the food that you use to grow from compost, you put it back into compost. So it's a closed loop system, and I'll go over that a little bit more later on. It also helps prevent erosion because compost is very, like I said, it absorbs and holds water better. So it allows for water to soak into it a lot more. It also diverts food waste from the landfill, which is huge. And it saves money in the long run with kind of with all the things that I've mentioned. So what is composting? So as I already stated, it's nature's way to recycle. It's a slow, natural decomposition of organic. So it's organic materials is obviously something that is living. So vegetables or was from something that was living. And then it's also a nutrient-rich product, as I have already mentioned as well. And it also helps as soil amendment. And then it is another form of organic plant fertilizer. So this is the compost recipe, as I mentioned. We were going to cook today. So these are all the major factors that you need to consider when creating a compost pile. You need to have browns, greens, air, water, and heat. So brown materials is going to be your nitrogen your carbon rich material. So that's going to be paper, anything of that derivative. Wood is also a carbon material. Crushed eggshells, also considered a brown. Dried leaves, another way of another brown. So as well as cardboard, that's another brown material. And then your green material is going to be nitrogen. So that's going to be grass clippings or green leaves that just have freshly fallen off your plants that you're going to put in your compost pile. So when you're doing this, you want to consider having 3-to-1 ratio. So 3 brown to 1 green. So you're going to want to, every time that you're putting green material in your compost bin, whether that be banana peels, apple cores, things that still have water in it, if that helps explain it, you're going to want to put like 3, like every 1 to that, 3 of the brown material. So once you put that in your compost bin, you're going to want to put a good amount of, whether that be sawdust, shredded cardboard, shredded paper over it. That way it helps with the whole decomposition process. Here is also an extensive list of what goes in your backyard compost. And it talks about the carbon materials here, the browns, and it has all the list of major things that are in that category. And then I believe this is also found, or not. I thought it was on here, but if not, you could snap a picture really quickly. And if you ask me as well, I could share these slides where you can have all of this. But it also has the nitrogen materials, which is the greens. So then that's going to be your bread and grains, coffee grounds, and paper filters, because those are wet. Fruits, cooked or uncooked. And then obviously being limiting in the amount of citrus you put in there. And then green grass clippings, green leaves, green shrub prunings, house plants, etc. There's a lot more stuff down there. But yeah, this is kind of what you want to have a combination of in your compost bin.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Paper towels was listed there. Used paper towels?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, as long as it's just not like with cleaning materials. Just thinking about, just intuitively, you're going to be eating what is grown in this soil, in this compost. Do you want to have residue of cleaning materials in it, or a certain oil grease? So just trying to keep it, if it's just coffee that is spilled, then you can put that in your compost bin. Great question.
We want printed cardboard. You mentioned cardboard.
Yeah, so that's, I mean, large trace amounts of ink on there. I mean, you kind of use your discretion with it. If it's like a little bit of print, then I would say it's okay. I mean, it is going to be cooking in the compost pile, and it will be fine. But if it's large amounts of printed ink that you're not really sure if it's soy-based ink or what, that I would be a little bit more hesitant. Or if you could peel like the layer, because sometimes in corrugated cardboard you are able to peel it to eliminate the printed part. Yeah, that's kind of my way of giving you an answer for that. Yes, ma'am.
And then you mentioned paper, and I know shredded paper we can't recycle. So can you put shredded paper into the compost bin?
Yeah. You can, but also the same thing with like the ink. You kind of, I would have to, I would be